3 nights later, old Major died peacefully in his sleep. His body was buried near the orchard. This happened in early March. In the next 3 months, many secret activities took place. Old Major's speech had changed how the smarter animals on the farm thought about life. They did not know when the rebellion he talked about would happen. They also did not think it would happen during their lifetime. But they clearly understood that it was their duty to prepare for it. The job of teaching and organizing the other animals was taken by the pigs because they were known to be the smartest animals on the farm. Among the pigs, 2 young boars were the most important, Snowball and Napoleon. Mr. Jones was raising them to sell later. Napoleon was a big, fierce-looking Berkshire pig. He did not talk much, but was known for always getting what he wanted. Snowball was more energetic and lively than Napoleon. He spoke faster and had more creative ideas. But people thought he did not have the same strong character as Napoleon. The other male pigs were called porkers. One famous pig among them was Squealer. He was small and fat with round cheeks, bright eyes, quick movements, and a high-pitched voice. Squealer was a very good speaker. When he argued about something difficult, he would move from side to side and shake his tail in a convincing way. The other animals said that Squealer could make something wrong seem right. The 3 pigs, Snowball, Napoleon, and Squealer, developed Old Major's ideas into a full system of thinking called animalism. Several nights every week, after Mr. Jones fell asleep, they held secret meetings in the barn. In these meetings, they explained the ideas of animalism to the other animals. At first, many animals were lazy and not very interested. Some animals said they should stay loyal to Mr. Jones and called him Master. They said things like, "Mr. Jones feeds us. If he is gone, we will starve." Some animals asked questions like, "Why should we care about what happens after we die?" Or, "If the rebellion will happen anyway, why should we work for it?" The pigs found it very difficult to explain that these ideas went against the spirit of animalism. The silliest questions were asked by Molly, the white mare. The first thing she asked Snowball was, "Will there still be sugar after the rebellion?" He explained that the farm could not make sugar and that animals did not need it. They would have plenty of oats and hay to eat. Molly then asked if she would still be able to wear ribbons in her mane. Snowball told her that ribbons were a sign of slavery. He said freedom was much more important than ribbons. Molly said she agreed, but she did not sound very convinced. The pigs also had a hard time dealing with the lies spread by Moses, the tame raven. Moses was Mr. Jones's favorite pet. He acted like a spy and liked telling stories. But he was also a very good talker. He told the animals about a magical place called Sugar Candy Mountain, where all animals went after they died. He said it was somewhere in the sky, above the clouds. In Sugar Candy Mountain, it was Sunday every day. Clover grew all year, and sugar and special food grew on the hedges. The animals did not like Moses because he never worked and only told stories. But some animals believed in Sugar Candy Mountain, so the pigs had to argue very hard to convince them that such a place did not exist. Boxer and Clover, the 2 cart horses, were the most loyal followers of the pigs. They found it hard to think deeply on their own. But once they accepted the pigs as their leaders, they believed everything the pigs said. They also explained these ideas to the other animals in simple ways. They always attended the secret meetings in the barn and helped lead the singing of Beasts of England, which ended every meeting. Soon, the rebellion happened much earlier and more easily than anyone expected. In earlier years, Mr. Jones had been a strict but capable farmer. But recently, his life had gone badly. After losing money in a court case, he became very discouraged and started drinking too much. Many days, he would sit in his Windsor chair in the kitchen, reading newspapers, drinking alcohol, and sometimes feeding Moses bread soaked in beer. His workers were lazy and dishonest. The fields were full of weeds, the buildings needed repairs, the hedges were ignored, and the animals were not given enough food. When June arrived, the hay was almost ready to be cut. On Midsummer's Eve, Saturday, Mr. Jones went to the town of Willingdon and drank so much at the Red Lion pub that he did not return until Sunday afternoon. In the morning, the workers milked the cows and then went out hunting rabbits without feeding the animals. When Mr. Jones returned home, he immediately fell asleep on the sofa with a newspaper covering his face. By evening, the animals were still hungry. Finally, they could not tolerate it anymore. One cow broke the door of the storage shed with her horns, and all the animals rushed in to eat the food. At that moment, Mr. Jones woke up. He and his 4 workers ran to the shed with whips and started beating the animals. But the hungry animals had had enough. Without planning it, they all attacked at once. They kicked and pushed Mr. Jones and his men from every side. The men had never seen animals behave like this before. They were used to beating the animals whenever they wanted, so this sudden rebellion frightened them badly. Very quickly they gave up trying to fight and ran away. Within a minute, all 5 men were running down the cart road toward the main road, while the animals chased them away in victory. Mrs. Jones looked out of the bedroom window and saw what was happening. She quickly packed a few things in a bag and escaped from the farm through another path. Moses the raven flew after her while making loud noises. Meanwhile, the animals chased Mr. Jones and his men out onto the road and shut the farm gate behind them. In this way, the rebellion was completed almost before they realized it. Mr. Jones was gone, and Manor Farm now belonged to the animals. For a few minutes, the animals could hardly believe their luck. First, they ran all around the farm to make sure no human was hiding anywhere. Then, they returned to the farm buildings to destroy everything that reminded them of Mr. Jones. They broke open the harness room. The metal bits, nose rings, dog chains, and cruel knives that Mr. Jones used to operate on pigs and lambs were thrown into the well. Reins, halters, blinkers, and nose bags were thrown into a fire burning in the yard. The whips were also thrown into the fire. All the animals were very happy to see the whips burning. Snowball also threw the ribbons used to decorate horses on market days into the fire. He said ribbons were like clothes, and clothes were a sign of humans. Animals should remain natural and free. When Boxer heard this, he threw his straw hat into the fire as well. He had used the hat in summer to keep flies away from his ears. Soon, the animals destroyed everything that reminded them of Mr. Jones. After that, Napoleon led them to the store shed and gave everyone double corn rations and 2 biscuits for each dog. Then the animals sang Beasts of England 7 times. After that, they slept peacefully like never before. At dawn, they woke up and suddenly remembered their victory. They all ran to the pasture. On a small hill, they could see most of the farm. Looking around in the bright morning light, they realized that everything they saw now belonged to them. They were extremely happy. They jumped around, rolled in the grass, ate the fresh summer grass, and smelled the rich soil. Then they walked around the entire farm, looking with amazement at the fields, the hayfield, the orchard, the pond, and the small woods. It felt almost unbelievable that all of it was now theirs. After that, they returned to the farm buildings and stood quietly outside the farmhouse. The house also belonged to them now, but they were afraid to go inside. Finally, Snowball and Napoleon pushed the door open with their shoulders. The animals entered carefully in a line, trying not to touch anything. They walked quietly through the rooms, amazed by the luxury: soft beds with feather mattresses, mirrors, a sofa, a fancy carpet, and a picture of Queen Victoria. Soon they noticed that Molly was missing. When they went back to look for her, they found her in the best bedroom. She had taken a blue ribbon from Mrs. Jones's dressing table and was admiring herself in the mirror. The other animals scolded her, and everyone went outside again. Some hams hanging in the kitchen were buried. Boxer kicked open a barrel of beer so it would not be used. Other than that, nothing in the house was touched. All the animals agreed on one rule: the farmhouse would be kept as a museum, and no animal would ever live in it. After breakfast, Snowball and Napoleon called all the animals together again. Snowball said, "Comrades, it is already 6:30 in the morning and we have a long day ahead. Today we will start harvesting the hay, but first there is something important we must do." The pigs then told the animals that during the last 3 months they had taught themselves how to read and write. They learned it from an old spelling book that had belonged to Mr. Jones's children and had been thrown away. Napoleon brought black and white paint, and all the animals followed them to the big gate that opened onto the main road. Snowball, who was the best at writing, took a paintbrush and carefully painted over the name Manor Farm. In its place, he wrote Animal Farm. From that moment on, this would be the new name of the farm. After this, they returned to the farm buildings. Snowball and Napoleon brought a ladder and placed it against the wall of the big barn. They explained that during the past 3 months, they had turned the ideas of animalism into 7 commandments. These commandments would be written on the wall and would become the permanent rules that every animal on Animal Farm must follow forever. Snowball climbed the ladder with some difficulty because it was not easy for a pig to balance on it. Squealer stood below him, holding the paint. Snowball then wrote the commandments in large white letters on the barn wall so that they could be read from far away. The 7 commandments were: 1. Whatever walks on 2 legs is an enemy. 2. Whatever walks on 4 legs or has wings is a friend. 3. No animal shall wear clothes. 5. No animal shall drink alcohol. 6. No animal shall kill any other animal. 7. All animals are equal. The writing on the wall was very neat. Only a few small mistakes were there. The word friend was spelled incorrectly and one S was written the wrong way. Otherwise, everything was written correctly. Snowball read the 7 commandments aloud so that all the animals could hear them. All the animals agreed with them. The smarter animals immediately started trying to memorize the commandments. Snowball then threw down the paintbrush and said, "Now, comrades, let's go to the hayfield. Let's try to harvest the hay faster than Mr. Jones and his men ever did." At that moment, the 3 cows started loudly mooing. They had not been milked for a whole day, and their udders were full and painful. After thinking for a moment, the pigs brought buckets and milked the cows themselves. Their hooves were actually quite suitable for the job. Soon, there were 5 buckets full of fresh, creamy milk. Many animals looked at the milk with curiosity. One animal asked, "What will happen to all that milk?" One of the hens said that Mr. Jones used to mix some of the milk with their animal food. Napoleon quickly stood in front of the buckets and said, "Never mind the milk, comrades. That will be taken care of. The harvest is more important." He told the animals to go to the hayfield and start working. Snowball led them, and Napoleon said he would join them shortly. The animals then went to the hayfield and worked all day harvesting the hay. When they returned in the evening, the milk was gone.